Ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will call the April 18th meeting of the Common Council to order. I will ask our clerk to call the roll to establish our quorum.
Alderperson Haas.
Here.
Keene. Here. Lysick.
Here.
Reinke.
Excused.
Rote.
Here.
Stefanski.
Here.
Turner.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Grisham.
Grisham is also excused.
8 present, 2 excused.
We do have a quorum. Please rise if you are able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Alderman Haas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have 3 items for public hearing this evening, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
Resolution to vacate part of the alley north of 7400 block of West Greenfield Avenue.
Thank you. Turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Steve Scher. I'm the manager of planning and zoning, and the first hearing here is to vacate a small portion of city right-of-way, which is located behind Noble Senior Living, Double B's, and Macoco's restaurants. This historically hasn't functioned really in any means of moving traffic through this portion of the alley. As you can see behind a couple of the restaurants and then a portion of the Noble Senior Living, it functions much more so of just right behind those buildings. Private businesses are currently parking within these areas and storing refuse, among other business functions. So the purpose of the hearing is to take a look at this property and bring it up. We've noticed this via the Daily Reporter, the official paper, and published it 3 times with the Class 3, but to vacate this area, and then it would revert back to city ownership. This historically was city-owned land, and as the original owners, and in the vacation process in this case, it reverts back to city ownership, and then the city can then dispose of it, and in this case would be entering into a sale agreement to sell it, and then it would be then carved up and used for private purposes and the function of these businesses behind. There would be a subsequent and future resolution coming before the Common Council with a CSM to rededicate a portion of the alley a little bit further north through this area. But so again, this was introduced on March 7th. Class 3 notice was served. We've received no objections to date, and tonight's our public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the alderman on this item?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Weigel.
Steve, could you just back up to that overhead shot? So we're expecting the 3 property owners to kind of absorb that gold area into their property now. They're used to pay taxes on it.
Right.
And then are we going to see maybe a clarification of the parking in the back there? Even in this picture here, I can see at least 4 cars illegally parked. It's hard to tell. That one car is probably driving through. But so are we going to see some sort of, whether it's pavement marking with crosshatches or signage or something that says no parking and better enforcement?
I see Gail coming up. I think he has something to say here, but I could certainly, Gail, if I want to turn it over to you.
Sure. So I have been dealing with this one for some time now, and the alley, the expected alley where it will be dedicated is actually on the north side of this part, and where that car is driving, it actually cuts across at about a 45-degree angle. And so the private property owners will be able to do whatever they want with their private property. It's expected that they might construct fences and other structures there that will delineate where their private property is. There still will be alley access for the public and for deliveries, but it's going to be treated much more like the other alleys that you see up and down this block. It's not going to be a big wide open space. The vehicles you see in the picture parked there are actually, that's city-owned property right now, and that is part of the city property that, in theory, will present to the council to be divvied up to the adjacent landowners in a method that was shown prior to the council.
So so even the space where those 4 cars look like they're parked, that will eventually be vacated also? Is that the plan?
That is actually private property just owned by the city,
Yes.
so it doesn't need to be vacated, but it would be part of the transfer and conveyance when the certified survey map is recorded. So those vehicles, most of them would end up being attached to the RMSB property, which is Macoco's. And then a good chunk of the vertical gold space will be attached to the Timbers property.
Yeah.
And then the part on the north would be attached to the Noble property with a sliver on the west side of the building as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the Common Council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Haas.
Yeah, and Steve, is Noble Senior Living for profit and they will pay taxes as well?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the members of the council? Seeing none, are there any questions on public hearing number 1 from the members of the audience? Okay, seeing none, we will close our first public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
Resolution to confirm and adopt the report of the city engineer containing the schedule of proposed assessments for improvement of the general area bounded by South 68th Street to South 78th Street, Union Pacific Railroad to West Oklahoma Avenue by miscellaneous sidewalk repair.
Thank you. I will turn it over to staff whenever you're ready to go.
Good evening. My name is Melinda Dieske, and I'm the city engineer for the city of West Allis. With me tonight is Rob Hutter, our assistant city engineer, and we are going to discuss the sidewalk repair program in this public hearing forum. The project is for 2023, and the project area is 1/10 of the city. City staff goes through every year and we investigate and inspect 1/10 of the city so that we can do sidewalk repair all around the city and get everywhere once every 10 years. This project is bounded by, on the south by West Oklahoma, on the north by Union Pacific Railroad, on the east, South 68th Street, and on the west, South 78th Street, a little narrower on the south end of the project. When staff is out inspecting, we are looking for a cracked sidewalk, extensive displacement sidewalk, if the slabs have settled or if they have heaved. The process would be when we would remove the sidewalk slabs, hire and have the contractor form it, put it in, and then sod would occur on either side. The project to replace your sidewalk has a lot of different benefits. When you have broken, raised, or settled sidewalks, it creates hazard for people to walk and people pushing strollers. Property owners they benefit from this improvement because it's easier to use the sidewalk, easier to shovel, easier to maintain, keep it ice-free, which is required by city ordinance. The city avoids costly lawsuits due to the injuries resulting from defective sidewalk conditions. For this project, approximately 2,200 properties were inspected, with 455 properties approximately needing sidewalk repairs. We're estimating that the total project cost is about $200,000, and this area was last inspected and repaired 21 years ago in 2002. So part of the city's ordinances are to special assess repairs against the abutting property owners. Everybody received a bill when they got the notice for a public hearing. That's the initial estimate. We will, if approved by Common Council, the city will let a contract perform the work as outlined before, but the bills for the work will not be mailed out until March of 2024. The city provides 3 different options. You could pay in a lump sum when you get the bill. There's a 5-year installment plan, and then there's a 10-year installment plan. So for a $250 bill over a 10-year period, presuming 4% interest, the first year payment would be $35, and then the last year's payment would be approximately $26. And just so everybody understands, the city is borrowing the funds for this project, and the interest rate that we charge is the interest rate we receive. So the city is not gaining any profit from the project or the interest being charged. Special assessments have been used in the city of West Allis for over 110 years. It's a vehicle for which the city can not only special assess abutting property owners that pay taxes, but also property owners that don't, such as churches, schools, hospitals, the Milwaukee County, and those types of properties. For this year, the assessment rate for a square foot of sidewalk is $3.65 per square foot for residential properties everywhere, and it doesn't, whatever the bid prices come in, that's the rate that is charged to the residents. So we treat everyone equally, and special assessments are the method that the state has that allows cities to recover some of those costs. As we talked about, it's the special assessments ensure that tax-exempt properties pay their fair share. In the city, there's 430 properties that do not pay property taxes. So it's important to be able to recover infrastructure work from those properties because they use the roads and the sidewalks just like all the residents in the city. If the project moves forward, you can subscribe to our construction progress report and get updates on the progress of the project through emails and text messages. Go to the city website and under Notify Me, and you can sign up for that information. That construction progress is done at least once a week, possibly more, depending on the project. And we try to be very timely with our information, and we want to make sure that everybody has the up-to-date information. And with that, I think we conclude our presentation.
Thanks very much. Are there any questions from the council on public hearing number 2?
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Weigel.
Just a reminder that I believe this project's going to impact the area around 68th and Beecher. And there is right? I mean, it's in the... Yes. So we have that bicycle race scheduled for June 20th, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it is in the Wednesday. We want to make sure that we don't have any construction going on, probably obviously anywhere on the roads that the races are on or within the route area.
By the time this gets bid out, I think it would be after that race.
Okay, so yeah, I guess when was the construction going to start? Possibly.
I think mid to late summer.
Okay, just so that things don't go exceedingly well, and suddenly they're out there the third week of June with the bike race. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions from the council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Stefanski.
Real quick question. Do we do another pass-through on everything that we picked on that project to be done? Because the sidewalk by my house was actually replaced already during some construction that was done with the fiber optics for Verizon. So I just was wondering if that's going to be reevaluated through the whole thing.
If sidewalk had already been replaced, we obviously wouldn't replace it again. And the bills that were sent to residents are just estimates, so it's based on what actually gets constructed. This was walked a year and a half to 2 years ago because the funding wasn't there last year to do this job, and we didn't want to send employees out again to walk it all over again.
Any other questions from the council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Haas.
Yeah, and so I started my question with "and so does." Let me just get to my question. Does every property in the subject area receive a special assessment, or in the alternative, is it just properties that have sidewalk that need to be repaired receive the special assessment?
It would be properties that just have sidewalk that is going to be repaired.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Haas. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, are there any questions from the members of the audience? See 3 hands. If you could please approach the podium and press the button with the little person on it to activate the microphone, and please give us your name and address for our official record.
All right, my name is Catherine Wisniewski, and I live on South 48th Street. But now that I've noticed what's been going on here with the city's sidewalk, I mean, with the blind people that are walking their dogs and stuff like that, are you guys going to actually have like blinking lights and stuff like that? Because my dad's 70% blind and deaf, and he can't really see. So my question is for you, so they don't step on that or do anything like that. Are you going to have something there where even if it's not voice activated or anything like that to protect your sidewalks from people stepping on it? And also on the tax property, where I see this is you guys are charging people to get their sidewalks repaired. Are you guys doing the full blocks, or are you just doing just a part of in front of their houses? That's what my curiosity is too on that situation.
We're just doing the parts that are needed that fall in our criteria, whether they're heaved or cracked or sunken. So
Okay.
it's just parts that are needed. As far as lights go, you mean while they're removed?
Yeah, while you guys, like I said, like, okay, so I'm explaining to you, like, for a deaf person. So they're walking down the street, there's somebody that's blind, that has a blind, you know, they're guiding their dog, they can't see. Now, the thing is how is that going to work in their favor? That's where you're going to have to look at. Because you do have a lot of people that are blind in the city, and they do walk, but you guys, all of a sudden, they can't see it, and they have no see and no nothing. What can you do about that? Are you going to be having like some kind of noise so they know, like, when you guys, after you repair it, when it's done being paved over, how do I explain this? When it's done being paved over and you want it to set for 24 hours to make sure that they don't walk on that side. Like, you know how we have the buttons for the city, you know, when they're crossing the street and stuff like that. But also, are you going to have that for the sidewalk so it doesn't damage that property owner's sidewalk or that sidewalk up front where you have to come back and repair it again?
There'll be barrels and barricades in front of the new sidewalk while it's curing, while it's setting up.
But the thing is, when they're blind, they can't see it. That's where I'm trying to explain it. Right, that's why I said it's a little bit harder. That's why I was trying to explain that. Like, yeah, well, so you'll have all that set up for them. I just wanted to make sure, because it's just, you know. Yeah. All right, I'm good now. Yep.
Next up.
Hi, my name is Paul Mills. I have 2 questions about the sidewalks here. Well, according to this, to where it's raised up because of a maple tree that's between the curb and the sidewalk. It's the second time since I've lived there in 45 years that tree has grown big enough to raise that up, and they did bring it around the last time. I was wondering if the forestry department would be able to take that tree down before you replace that again, because I'll probably be there for at least another 20 years, and I don't want to pay for that sidewalk again. And another question that I have is, you have what they call the carriage walk, and for probably 35 years, I've had patio blocks from the sidewalk at the end of my approach to the house to the curb, and I see that they are going to supposedly put in a 3-foot width concrete. Now, is the patio blocks not good enough?
Well, it's the area between the sidewalk and the curb?
Yes.
Okay, so that's, with that being city property, we usually put in a carriage walk in concrete. Mm-hmm. Is that something you don't want?
Well,
or I guess
I mean, I have the patio blocks there for 35 years.
Yeah.
If you replace it, that's fine with me, but the main concern is, will you be able to get the forestry department to cut down that tree
I can ask the forestry department. I didn't get your address. I can.
Sure.
You can give it to me now or after or after the hearing, whatever you like. I can certainly ask them.
6845 West Arthur Avenue.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I saw another hand somewhere.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I'm a little nervous. I've never spoken in front of a lot of people before,
Oh, don't be nervous. We're harmless.
Well, I know you, Dan. You're oh, God. Okay, my name is Karen. Last name is Shikantic, and I live at 1939 South 71st Street. I just had a couple of questions about this notice. I've never gotten one of these before, but I have some pictures. I have a tree that seems to have a root problem that's pushing up one of the slabs of concrete between the tree and my front yard. In the letter, it stated that this needed to be repaired because the city of West Dallas didn't want anyone tripping and being hurt, and I understand that. The thing is, I have a concern about my tree. It's gonna have to have one of the main roots cut out from the base of the tree that goes underneath the slab of sidewalk. And I have concerns about the structure and the stability of that tree during storms, that it wouldn't fall across the street and maybe harm someone or crush somebody's car. This construction company that you are going to have do this work, do they have experience in cutting roots, main roots from trees, that I'm not going to have to worry about it falling down in a thunderstorm or it dying?
We have a pretty extensive specification on how to handle the trees. Our city forester is very interested in keeping our mature trees, alive and functioning.
Okay.
The contractor can't rip the roots out. They're supposed to cut them or saw them, and that is what the forester says is the best option for the tree.
That's what I was afraid of.
I've had a lot of experience with this kind of, engineering, forestry. We've all had a lot of experience with this. It's a very successful way of getting the tree roots to be okay.
Can I show you a picture of what I'm talking about on my camera? I took a picture of it this morning. Can I approach?
If you want, you could show them when we have a recess in a couple of minutes.
Oh, okay.
If you can stick around.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
My other question is, on this estimate, this is not a bill. It's showing that the total cost would be $363.80 to do this one slab. And I would be responsible for half of that, which is $180, $190. First of all, I know that the trees are maintained by the City of West Dallas Forestry Department, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the sidewalks, of course, are pretty much controlled by the City of West Dallas, which is why we're all here. Why am I getting charged as a property owner to have this slab removed and replaced? I don't understand that.
So the city has an ordinance, which the Common Council has, passed many years ago, that says that the property owners share in some of the cost. It's a way that the city can recover costs not just from you, but from the 430 tax-exempt properties, so that everybody pays a fair share. So
Okay,
Well,
so,
and it's not built into the tax structure. It's and it helps spread it out across everyone.
okay, so my property taxes of $3,600 a year is not,
It covers part of it, but not all of it.
I think if I could, the one big advantage for doing this assessment is that I think it was mentioned in the presentation, but when we have tax exempt properties that aren't paying any property taxes, like schools, nonprofits,
right?
we are able to have them contribute towards the entire cost as well, so that recoups some of the cost from entities that are not paying any property taxes at all. So it kind of helps us force them to participate into the program.
Oh, okay, so I'm contributing for the church I go to.
Exactly. And the church is also going to contribute for your sidewalk too. So it's a win-win. Yes.
Okay, I think that's probably all. Yeah, there was, on my property bill, I looked at it this morning, and it had the city of West Dallas. There was $1,576 that goes to the city, but there was no.
That sounds about right, yeah.
What is that for then?
Well, we get about, for every tax bill, it's divided among 5 entities, and it's the county, the schools, the city, the tech colleges, and the sewage district. So
Correct.
the city of West Dallas gets about 39 to 40% of every total property
And
tax
what
bill.
does the city use that for, though?
That's for everything from police, fire, library, health department, snow plowing, recycling, all those things.
Oh, recycling, yeah, garbage.
Yeah.
We can't forget about the garbage. For our
Exactly.
police officers. Okay, well, I thank you very much, and I'll just show you these pictures that I have at the end of the meeting. Okay?
Perfect.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you.
There was another person or two. Feel free to walk up.
Hello, my name is John Wasowski. I live at 2343 South 74th Street. So I also got the sidewalk bill, but I had my sidewalk got heaved up from storm damage when the tornado came through. I was one of about 3 or 4 people right in that area where the thing pulled the tree completely out and heaved the whole sidewalk several pieces, which were already damaged from the tree roots that you guys put in. So when you guys putting in trees so close and they're damaging the sidewalk, I don't see where that should be our problem, because you guys are putting in trees that are too big. So, and not only that, but they put the tree right over my sewer line. It's not marked, and the guys they put the trees over the sewer line. Why are we doing that? Number one. From the house.
I don't have an answer to why forestry planted a tree there initially.
Okay.
I can talk to them in person and find out, but
it was there when I moved in 2010. And again, like I said, when I moved in, the roots were heaving the sidewalk, and there's 3 pieces along the sidewalk plus the carriage, and that all got destroyed when the tree came down. So doesn't the city have storm budget that should be taking care of that?
we have a contingency fund, but act of gods are difficult ones. And I may want to turn to the city attorney on this one because I'm not sure.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
This area was walked before that storm, so that heaving was noted before the storm. Yeah, and the other thing is the trees were planted in the past without looking where those laterals were. That's not something we do anymore. But I'm not sure how old the tree was, but
it was a large tree. It was very big. It was 3 feet in diameter easily. It was one of the hugest trees around.
Okay,
but
so that may have happened, 60, 70 years ago, but that's certainly not a practice we do now.
Okay, but they put the new tree right in the same spot, and I went out and told the guys that this morning. I says, why don't you guys have this? Why isn't the lateral marked? The water's marked, everything else is marked, but the lateral wasn't marked, and they're putting the tree in the same exact area. Luckily, I haven't had the damage, but I don't want the damage. But the fact still remains it was a storm damage, and this is only what's going to happen with that, because I haven't seen that yet. All this is just for the carriage. This is just for the carriage walk. This bill, I imagine.
Yeah, it looks like it's for one square of sidewalk.
That's from the sidewalk to the street, which is the carriage walk, correct?
I'd have to look at that specific one, but I'm just showing here it's a 5x5 piece of sidewalk.
Well, there's more than that. There's at least 3 large city sidewalk pieces, then the carriage walk, because the city came in after they took the tree out, and all they did is put asphalt in there, which is there now, and the dirt and whatever they got that they put in there. I asked them guys this morning, were they going to replace it, because it's all filled with rocks and mud. There was broken glass in there, which I picked out. I took pictures of it. I don't know where the city got this, if this came out of the street cleaners garbage that they pick up, because this dirt is terrible. It's not black dirt.
So what I can tell from this bill is there was probably one piece of sidewalk before the storm that needed to be replaced. Since that, and that's what the estimate is for. Since that happened, there was the storm and the tree was taken down. So the tree damage would be repaired as part of this program. But the tree damage would not be something that you're assessed for because it was from that storm.
So I'm not going to be paid. I'm not going to be. All I'm going to get is this bill here, this $89. The rest of it that's getting repaired, I'm not getting charged.
Yeah, because I did receive now that I have your address, I got something from the forester about this particular.
All right, but I still think this. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I still think the city should look into where they're planting these trees. That somebody should be out there and checking the laterals, and we shouldn't get another tree put over it.
And that's something we can certainly talk with the forestry department about and see if an adjustment needs to be made. If it's a brand new tree, we might be able to adjust it. We'll have to look at that.
All right.
Good afternoon. My name's Holly Klodek. I live on 2822 South Cleveland Park Drive. On mine, it has only about 2 with it because it's a sidewalk, so that would only be 2, right? There's probably like 5 now if you did it 2 years ago. We just moved there a little over 2 years ago to this address, and looking at it today, last year somebody came and put some asphalt down because 2 pieces are really bad, but really to align with the rest of the block, I have no problem getting all 5 replaced. I rather, so that everybody's safe walking and everything. And I want to thank you guys. I called the other day regarding, oh, that was you? Okay. And you guys came out right away to check the curb also, because the curb got damaged from the plow going through. So thank you. So I have no problem with it, but I would like all 5 replaced instead of just the 2.
Thank you.
You'll get a letter in the mail before the work starts with our inspector's name, and that can be arranged.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else with questions? You can come up.
Hi, my name's Cheryl Wolkowiak, and I live at 2346 South 74th Street. And I have an estimate where I have half of the bill for a carriage walk. And my carriage walk has a water circle in it, and that was kind of lifting up the sidewalk, and then they had ground it down, which was fine, and then the tornado came through, and 3 trees came in my yard, and the one tree they had to take down, and then that damaged the carriage walk even more. I'm just wondering, why is it the same answer that I would be responsible for half because of tax-free buildings? Is that it? Even though it's a water cover or whatever that's called, I don't know, cap, water cap?
Yeah, my understanding is that when they walked it before the storm, that was something that was a problem, and that's why it's noted. Mm-hmm. And if the storm has done additional damage, the same kind of answer I was able to give the other gentleman. If the storm has done additional damage, which on 71st or 74th Street is one of the streets with the damage, mm-hmm. That additional would be done without a special assessment. The carriage walk, that was walked before the storm, though.
Okay. And even because it's a water cap there, that's still going to be half my responsibility because of the tax?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to clarify that. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the members of the audience on public hearing number 2? All right. We will close our second public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read our third public hearing this evening.
Conditional use permit for Dunkin', a proposed restaurant with accessory drive-through service at 7801 West Greenfield Avenue.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the site of just west of the Pegasus Restaurant on 78th Street, south side of Greenfield Avenue, that's been vacant for likely the past 6 years. This is a photo around State Fair time. It was used for parking that year. But since that time, we've received there's a new owner of the site, and the new owner is interested in developing a Dunkin' Donuts along with another tenant on that same property. So it'll be about a 4,400 square foot building with 2 tenants, one of which would be a Dunkin' Donuts with a drive-through. The property is zoned C2 neighborhood commercial, and drive-through restaurants are required to obtain a conditional use permit. So the site plan, this is a closer look at the plan view of that. 78th Street be on the right side of your screen, Greenfield Avenue at the top, and then the building would be situated along the street edge of Greenfield Avenue, and close to and each side of that there would be patio space for outdoor dining, both on the Dunkin' site as well as the future space to the west. The drive-through lane would be accessible via 2 driveways. Actually, there's a driveway further south along 78th Street and one further north. The directional flow could come in and out on the southernmost driveway here. So you have exiting traffic as well as inbound traffic to then stage within the queue for the drive-through lane, which would pull up behind the Dunkin' Donuts, and then exit eastbound out onto 78th, and then back to Greenfield Avenue, north or south on 78th. So the site will be landscaped. There's roughly about 28 parking stalls, and the drive-through feature behind the building. Just another view of the proposed landscaping layout within the site. There is some discussion about a possibly biofiltration swale or something behind the southern end of the site, or perhaps within the central island here, but just a closer look at the landscaping on the site. The floor plan, the highlighted areas are the Dunkin' Donuts portion of the building, and then the future tenant space is unknown at this point, so we don't really have a specific floor plan for that area. But you can see sort of the typical seating area and then service area in this orange shape, this L shape here, and then you have your kitchen and restroom areas and the drive-through window on the south side of the building.
Steve, I want to interrupt you just
sure.
around the subject. Where is Greenfield Avenue in that picture?
Sure. Yeah, Greenfield Avenue is right up here on the top of the screen. Sure. Architecturally, the building is situated close to Greenfield Avenue, so as similar to other buildings along that south side of Greenfield Avenue, you have buildings in close proximity to the sidewalk area. In this case, the building will feature sort of an urban edge with larger storefront windows and openings, doorways in and out of the tenant spaces. And then that building would also provide access to the outdoor dining areas on the east and west sides of the building. The overall building is just about 4,000 square feet. It's 1 floor. And the exterior materials will include a brick, a darker gray brick, as well as fiber cement panels on the exterior. So public notice has been served to property owners within 200 feet, as well as published in the official paper. The Plan Commission recommended approval, and at the end of March, we've received no objections to date. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the Common Council?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
A couple questions. I believe the restaurant to the east had been leasing that parking for that back parking lot, and I understand that maybe their business isn't what it had been, but I imagine on weekends it's going to get pretty tight around there for parking.
More recently, I think there's been a car dealership that's been parking cars back there. And not to say that Pegasus could get busy, but Pegasus also did remove a duplex here south of their existing restaurant years ago for parking. So they have more than, I guess, what our code.
Well,
would,
we have a new code on parking. I understand, and I'm not that pro parking guy. I just wanted to make sure that people are understanding. Yeah, Pegasus used to be A&W, and I think this lot used to be Zimdar's used or imported cars. The drive-through is on the south side of the building.
Yeah.
I just want to. And what time do they open in the morning? Is it 6 a.m.?
They're looking at 5 a.m. to 8 p.m.
I'm a little concerned about the drive-through speaker noise infiltrating into the neighborhood there. I hope we have enough landscaping there to buffer that.
Yeah, I mean, the distance, I guess.
And it is kind of a ways from that first house to the south, yeah.
But there would be, I guess, other, trees and other landscape obstacles in between the.
Not a berm there possibly on the south border?
This will likely be,
just flat?
Probably more of a flatter, maybe even depressed somewhat to allow some
for drainage.
Filtration, for drainage. But there still is an opportunity to do some additional landscaping, heavying that up along the perimeters of the site.
And I missed the Plan Commission meeting on this. The internal view, you show one set of restrooms servicing both tenants. I'm just wondering how that's going to work out for if they have conflicting out, if they don't have, if their hours don't align 100%. I mean, there's some way to figure that out with a roll-up gates or something internally there. So
yeah, I mean,
you see what I'm talking about? If they're only sitting in one side of the bathroom, well, what if Dunkin' Donuts is closed and the new tenant to the west is still open? Well,
there's actually a wall in between the two, I guess.
Well, but to get to to both the doors, you're going to have to.
Yep. I mean, there is. You've got a wall here.
Yeah, I understand that, but if Dunkin' Donuts is open and the guy in the west is closed, how do how do customers from the Dunkin' Donuts get into that other restroom?
They don't.
They don't.
They're just you have one.
They're both. They're both
space
unisex
here,
bathrooms. Oh, okay. I'm showing my age.
Yeah.
As long as they have changing stations in both, too. So, thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions from the council? Okay, seeing none, are there any questions or comments on public hearing number 3 from the members of the audience? Please come on up.
Hi there, I'm Victoria Stessel. I live at 1434 South 79th. The way that, and I haven't heard anything about this until I just got the letter in the mail this week. The way that property is lined up, it is raised above the backyard for everybody else on my block. Our backyards are lower, which is going to put that trash bin at eye level to my backyard. The drive-through noise, berm or otherwise, it's going to interrupt into the neighborhood. Thank you for pointing that out. I am a huge proponent of anything that brings money into this city. I love West Allis. Dunkin' Donuts does not bring anything. We have Aggies. We have another coffee shop opening. My husband and I really enjoy all of the places that we have and the small businesses that we have. And a drive-through is great, but I don't think Dunkin' Donuts goes on brand with all the other wonderful places that we have in town that have great local coffee that everybody can get to. I also, there is a slight rise on Greenfield Avenue that I've noticed. It kind of crests right there, and it really concerns me with traffic going in and out all hours of the days and night. People coming up and down on Greenfield Avenue going too fast, that there's going to be an increase of accidents in that corner. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from the audience on public hearing number 3? All right, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 3, and we will move on to item E, which is citizen participation. This is where the council may receive information from members of the public during this 30-minute period. Each speaker must announce to the council their name and address. Please sign in at the back table or the podium. And we ask that you limit your comments to one statement of no longer than 5 minutes. Is there anybody that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening? Seeing none, we will close citizen participation. And we will move on to page 2. Item F, our standing committees will be meeting during recess. Those room numbers are listed on the top of page 2. Moving to item G, the mayor's report. I just have a few things this evening. We had an election recently, and I want to thank all of the city staff and the clerk and all of the people that worked to run a smooth election. I also want to congratulate the winners, specifically at our school board. Brian Keller, Noah Lee, and Kristen Kaiser retained their seats. I also want to thank challenger Dave Jesse for running. It takes a lot to actually run. It's easy to complain, but when you actually take on a campaign and go for it, I give him a lot of kudos as well. We did have a ribbon cutting last week for One of One Hair Studio in our downtown. I want to welcome Fernando, and he moved his business here, opened up. I did tell him to not plan on me to be a future client for his barbershop, but I do wish him all the best and all the success. And lastly, we had a meeting last week at the library to kind of kickstart our neighborhood associations in the city, with it sort of warming up and getting closer to spring. I could have said this a lot more confidently last week, but every neighborhood either has a neighborhood association or has the potential to develop a neighborhood association. So I would encourage you to seek out if there is one in your neighborhood, and if not, reach out to me or staff or your alderperson to discuss ways to start a neighborhood association. If you get a handful of people, it's really not a ton of work, and it will make your neighborhood stronger, it will make your neighborhood safer, it will make your neighborhood more vibrant. So I would encourage you to either connect with me at recess, or you can talk to Mr. Scher during recess. But we're really trying to get more neighborhood associations underway in different parts of the city that don't currently have them. And I would just encourage everybody to explore that as spring and summer approach. That does conclude the mayor's report this evening. We'll move on to item H. Do we have any reports from the alderpersons?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
Earlier this month, several of us aldermen had an opportunity to go to the police department to attend a session on the new Axon technology, video technology. Alderman Turner, Stefanski, Roth, Haas, and myself were there. And I just want to say it's terrific technology. The video is very clear, very precise. We had an opportunity to put on the training goggles, the virtual reality, and go through some training scenarios that the police can go through, and viewed the new taser guns, the system. And I would encourage the other council members, there's another one coming up April 25th, I believe it is. I would encourage the other alder people to attend, because it's really eye-opening. It's great technology.
Thank you. Any other alderpersons' reports? Seeing none.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of March 21st, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Are there any corrections to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Standing committee reports, we have none.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
On item K, the council consent agenda, we're going to be holding items 13 and 21. And if there's no objection from any other member of the council, I would move that the consent agenda be approved as submitted.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There is no discussion. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Haas.
Aye.
Keen. Aye. Lysick.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
8 in favor, 0 opposed.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are in recess.